Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Crafting with Kimberly, coming back at you in the brand new year. So we've got a great year of projects to do, and I'm excited to do the first one. I was chatting with people beforehand that were on, and I'll tell you, it has been a day. It's been a bad day. So I cannot promise anything for this video. Who knows what's going to happen, because it's just been that kind of a day today. But hopefully we'll get through it really smoothly. We are making a super easy project, and I just think this is just so super cute. I love, my obsession with gnomes. I absolutely adore gnomes. We are making this really cute coat hanger gnome, which can go on your front door. It can go on a wall. It's flat, doesn't need a lot of space. Really, really cute. The best thing is it's such minimal amounts of supplies. You need a coat hanger. Any kind of coat hanger will do. Does need to be wire so you can pull it and bend it. So a plastic one is not going to work for this one, but you do need any kind of wire coat hanger, because it also acts as the base for the hat, the base for the beard, and then you automatically have a hook of which to hang it on your wall. So it, serves multiple purposes, and recycles if you don't want to use them for hanging up clothes. It's a great way to recycle. The other fun thing is a mop head. I am in love with these Dollar Tree mop heads, and they finally came to the point where they're making them where you don't have to buy the whole mop. You can just buy the mop head, which I like. They are a little different, I guess. I haven't really looked at them that closely, but I guess the mop heads that you can buy without the stick are thicker and you get more strands. The mop with the mop handle, they're a little less. You don't get as many strands, but either way, even with one that's a little less, you're still going to get at least 3 gnomes out of it. But it's just, I found that this cotton material is just an absolutely excellent material to work with. You can use it as bows and ribbons, and it just does an awful lot. And the way the mop head comes, I figured I would show you, is if you take it out of its package and you open it up, there is this black circle. You can either, it's just connected on there. You can either cut it, try to pop it off. Really, I would use like a screwdriver to try to pop it out. Or if you can't do that, you can just pull them right out. So really easy. And with that, look at this nice piece of string, how big this is. If you were to buy like clothesline or just string, super expensive. Look at how many strands I have for $1. So this is just a great all-around product. They come in different colors. Some have a bluish tint, some have a grayish tint, some have a yellowish tint. This is white, so you can see the difference in the colors there. You can buy them online, Amazon. You can get these big, huge cloth sewn down the middle. I just took a seam ripper and took some of those, took the center off and took the strands off that way. So you really can use, a lot. There's a lot you can go with. So, and they all come differently too. Like Michelle got the mops. Hers are just a little titch longer, as you can see, just a little bit longer from the kind that she had. So the length of it is just how long you want your beard to be. So it doesn't really matter how long they end up being. You can always cut it, do whatever. You can use yarn, you can use twine. You could even use strips of cloth. It really doesn't matter. This instance that I used, when we had a Salvation Army in Corning, I absolutely adored that place, but I do know there's still one in Elmira. I just don't get up there enough. Sweaters. I will tend to buy a ton of sweaters when they're really cheap and they're on sale. You look for a great pattern. These make fantastic materials. And you can see it already gives you like a ridge This was the bottom of the sweater. I just cut it to fit, covers the back. Any kind of material. This is another one that I had, you know, the different material gives the different look. You know, you can do them for every holiday. We're still going with winter because it's so snowy out there, but you can do any kind of holiday that you want, any pattern, or any kind of material. You know, go to Joann's, get some fabrics, get some of their remnants that they had. You can see we really don't need a big piece of material. You just need it big enough to be able to cover your hanger. So if you have, you know, clothes, look around your house. If you've got clothes that you're not wearing and you really don't want them anymore, but they have a great pattern on them, use those. You can use cotton, you can use anything. You don't need fleece. So that's going to be the hat. In your kit, if you were able to get a kit, you have a ping pong ball and a nylon stocking. And the reason is these are wooden noses. These are expensive. You know, you really have to, they're hard to kind of find in big bulk items. They don't come that many to a package, and they tend to be a little on the expensive side. But with a gnome, the bigger the nose, the cuter the gnome. So you can do one of two things when we get to the part with the ping pong ball. If you want to be really easy, you're going to put your ping pong ball inside the stocking, and then we'll cut it, we'll glue it to the back, and it kind of gives, you know, like a flesh colored nose. So use any color stocking that you want. You can coordinate your stockings with your materials. I mean, there's nothing to say that he couldn't have a green nose. He couldn't have a red nose, a white nose. You can get stockings to, you know, match more of whatever your ethnicity, I can never say that word, of what you want. So whatever color stocking you want to use, you can use. This is great. So stockings are again, really inexpensive. And I will date myself. I'm from the age that, you know, I still wear stockings with my dresses because that's kind of how I always was. So I got a lot of stockings left around. So you get a hole in them, you got some great material, but that's what we'll do. The other cool thing is if you wanted a really big, long, wide nose, which are cute too, you can take the stocking, stuff it. If you had gotten, if, you know, we only gave enough to be able to do a, you know, one beard for your gnome tonight. But if you were to make these again in the future, which I hope you do, you can use this to stuff it. You can use cotton balls, toilet paper tissue, napkins, paper towels, anything to stuff it and fill it up, make it as big as you want. Because the nice thing with the stocking is you've already got a tube, and then all you have to do is hot glue it on one end, hot glue it on the other after you've stuffed it, and you can glue it on where you tuck the edges in so you won't see where you've glued. So that's really cute too. So you'll get a few noses out of this one if you want to do that later on. And then any kind of embellishments that you'd like to do. You know, we decided it was winter, so we have this was my original that I had made. So we have these snowflakes, and I definitely want to do a shout out to Michelle. Thank you so much. My family ended up getting COVID during Christmas time. One of the boyfriends brought it home, and unfortunately, we got it. Luckily, it was a very, very mild case, but not feeling well and being quarantined, I couldn't go out and get supplies. So thank you to Michelle for going out there, putting the whole kit together, you know, with my instructions of what to do. And this shows a perfect example of think outside the box, and just because you see something, don't think you can't use it. Red stars, these are red glittered stars. We wanted to make them, you know, coordinate with the fabric. I didn't think the red was going to look all that great, so we wanted to coordinate with them. She spray painted all of the snowflakes to make them white. But this just gives a great example of if you find something that you don't like, paint it. You could hand paint it, color it. you know, do whatever you want. And I think they turned out absolutely fantastic. She also found these cute little tiny rhinestones, which she started to decorate on mine to show an example. There's some, she took the little edges of where the little circles are and put some of the rhinestones in. So you can do that. If you have glitter at home, you can put glitter, paint it a different color if you want to do that. If you don't even want to use that snowflake, if you want to use two, I happen to use two. I had a silver one and a little silver one. So I kind of did a double one. If you only wanted to use one of these, take some paper, make another paper snowflake up above, or a flower, or whatever it is you want to do. Or if they're just so cute, you don't even need anything. But these are the supplies that we're going to use. So if you don't already, we do need a glue gun. So plug your glue gun in, get the hot glue ready. And you should have a pair of scissors to be able to cut the nylons with. I love these little silica fingers. They're finger protectors that you can use with your hot glue. It lets you actually put your hands right on top of where you're gluing, and you will not burn your fingers. These are great. These come 2 for $1 at Dollar Tree. Usually they come 2 in a package. So they have them. A rubber glove will not be enough protection. So don't think, oh, it's rubber, I can use it. No, you're still going to feel the heat. With these hard, heavy, thick rubber, you do not feel the heat. But other things to use when you're wanting to hot glue and push things down, use the tip of a pencil or the eraser part of a pencil, chopsticks, popsicle sticks, a straw, anything that you can push down on without burning your fingers. This can be made with regular like school glue. So if you do not have a hot glue gun, doesn't mean you can't make this project, you still can. It's just going to take a lot longer for it to dry for you, but it can be done. So at home, you have glue gun or your other glue, a pair of scissors, and either your chopsticks, something to hold the glue, your fingers, whatever you want to, the silica fingers, whatever you want to use. So to start this, it's already in a nice shape up at the top. What I do is I just kind of put my hand here in the middle and pull down. It's pretty easy wire to bend. What we're doing is we're just going to manipulate it. I'm using my thumb to push it out. We're just getting it to be kind of a cone shape. Most gnomes have a pointy head, but you can have it round. You can, you know, it doesn't have to be completely pointy. I'm going to bring this down. I am going to make mine a little more pointy. So you can see I'm just holding it, pushing it down. It's got a little bend there, so I'm going to push it down a bit. So now you can see I'm kind of bending even more. I'm going to, I don't want it so much here. So I'm going to straighten this out by just kind of pushing with my thumbs. Pushing with my thumbs. It's strong, heavy wire, but it's really not that unmanageable. And I have problems with my hands. So I figure if I can do it, almost anybody can do it. So I've kind of got that in a nice hat shape. And I want to decide, well, I probably want about this wide for a beard. We have this many strings. If you want to know how wide you want, we're going to use each one of these strands of string. So if it will help you, just kind of fold them all that you have in your kit. Just kind of lay them all out a little bit, see how wide they go out. And then from there, let's make a flat base. And yes, we do want flat. So let's make a flat base. So I'm just going to take my thumbs and manipulate my wire. Just kind of pushing it up to be about that size. So that's about where I want it. So then I'm going to push this edge up a bit to make that more of my hat, make it more pointy, and do the same to the other side. So that's about right. and it's being covered. So if it's not like, look at this, I have a nut, this is beautiful. I probably couldn't do this again if I tried. It's got a beautiful 90-degree angle. This one doesn't. I don't care. It's all right. It doesn't need to be, because you're going to be, as you can see, you don't see that hanger at all. You're completely covering it and things are hanging down from it. So it is okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it to be enough where you're going to hang it from here. So maybe hold it with your finger, hold it up and say, all right, do I like the way that that's hanging and bending? And for myself, I do. So now you see, we kind of have, we've made a triangle. This is the really easy and fun part. And you do want to do this part first before you cover the top. You're going to take your strings that you have, all of your strings, fold them in half. I like to put it underneath my hanger, bring the loop over, pull these two strings through and pull down. So you can see that it's looped on. You can go over or under, it doesn't matter. None of this is going to show. But by doing that, I now have basically two strings from the one. So again, we're going to fold it in half, lay it down. That's the easiest way to do it. Kind of pull it down and then just go through that circle that you've made, pull up your two strings, pull it through. We don't care, you know, you're trying to kind of keep it somewhat even, but you can give them a haircut afterwards. So you're gonna do that with all the strands that you have. You know, just pull it right on through. And again, because it doesn't show, doesn't matter if you do one way and one the other way. So you've got a knot going. So you can see I'm kind of doing this a little bit upside down where their knots are there. This gives a nice bump, but it doesn't matter. You can mix and match. I just found this is a little easier to just pull them through and down. So you want to just go ahead, go through, pull them all through. To me, this is a lot easier to put on than trying to tie them on. You could do that. But it's just really a lot easier. Like I could take that, I could bring that up there. I could tie it on, or I could try to just go right in the middle like this and do a tie and hang it down. I could do that. But look at the separation. When I tie it, look at the separation it gives. I like this, that it hangs much closer together than tying it on. So again, there is no wrong way. It's a matter of choice. But I just found it's really easy in half, up and through. Again, in half. If you want to set it down on the table to make it easier, there, bring it down and then just pull these two right up. And you get a good rhythm going. It lets you think about, what do I need to do tomorrow? How can I relax tonight? Anything good on TV? Can I have time to read a book? It's a nice kind of mindless, as I said, I had a bad day. So now I can just mindlessly go, okay, I'm crafting, I'm having fun. I don't have to think too hard right now. This is a good thing. A really good thing. Like I said, I can't say enough how I love this mop material. There's just so much you can do with it. You can, you know, anything that you'd want to use string or yarn with, you can use it with this, and you just get so much craft for your book. Lots of material. You know, you may decide you don't want as thick of a beard as we gave you of strings. So you may have some left over, or you may really want it thick, which is fine. The other nice thing you can do with this material is you can either leave it chunky like this, you know, pushed real close together. It can be a nice chunky, thick beard like that, or you can actually separate the strands, which is what you can see that they want to curl back up on themselves. But you can see that here I've actually just untwisted them because it's basically 4 strands of the string twisted into one. So I untwisted it, and then you get 4 strands. So that's how his beard looks so much thinner and fuller, because I did take the time to untwist. And you can see I made him last year actually. So you can see over time, his beard does want to kind of curl up upon itself. So you just need to untwist. But that's definitely 2 different looks that you can get with the same material, which is fun. And all the mops are made that way. So you will be able to, you know, twist all of them that way. And with your hanger, once we get all of these on, you're going to want to decide, well, which way do I want my hanger to hang? So front or back, right or left. You can even get to the point where if there's a hook, I like to kind of keep it open because I never know what I'm going to put it on. And it's nice to have that little hanger hook, because I can even turn this and put it over a door. But you could push it, because it's wire, just push it all the way down, make it a circle, hang it on something. But I personally am going to leave mine open-ended like this. And then as I said, you'll just decide which way you want it to face. I am going to put all my strands on, I believe. I think Michelle counted out a great amount. And you can see how uneven some of them are, even though I put them in half and put them together. You can trim that at the very end. Or if you have one that you really don't like if I look at this one, I'm like, well, that's kind of a waste, because this one is I was uneven when I put it on. So if I don't like that, I can just go right back over to that one, pull it off, even it up, push everything down, and then just put it back on again. So that's what's nice with this material. It's really easy because you're not gluing anything on it. You're just putting it on. You know, the cuter the gnome, the scragglier he or she is. We are making boy gnomes right now, though, because usually girl gnomes are with braids coming out of their hat. That wouldn't really look right with this project, the way we're doing that. So we are making a little boy gnome. So there I have all of my strands on. And I'm just kind of pulling it down, smoothing it out. It's going up the top a little bit, which is absolutely fine. So you can see there's like a bumpy edge. There's like almost like you were purling if you're a knitter. You can see there's almost like a purl bump. You know, you can use that edge as your front or that way. It just really depends on which way you want your hook. So really, really, truly doesn't matter. So I'm gonna flip mine over and just have this little purl bump be showing up at the front. So that's how easy it is to do the beard. And again, if you want to unravel it, do it later. Just, you can see, imagine this is, I'll put it on a glue stick. You can see how it's on. You wouldn't want to do this beforehand. You definitely want to do it once it's attached. But you can just put your finger in there, untwist those strands. I usually will put my finger in and then just pull it all the way through. And then now it gives a neat, wrinkly material feeling. You've got wrinkles now. So that's how it looks different. You've got thick, or you've got kind of this curly, like he took one of those old time crimpers from the 80s and he crimped his beard. So that kind of gives a cool look. So you decide how you want to do that. But for right now, like I said, that can be done later. I wouldn't worry about doing that part now. You're going to be able to do that later. So that is that part. The next thing you need to do is, how are we going to cover this? We don't want to see this hanger. How are we going to cover it? Well, that's where the material comes in. Everybody got some different materials, so everybody's looking a little different. I was really happy with this. Purple is my husband's favorite color, so he's going to get this one. Depending on what kind of cut you have, you can either put it the tall way. I personally think the width is better, go wide. And I'll tell you why. Because I like to have my piece finished in the back. You don't have to, and especially if you have a piece of material that you just absolutely love, but you don't have enough of it. If you're going to hang this on a wall, it wouldn't matter. You'd only have to, go over just like a little 1/4 of an inch just to cover the hanger. Because if I did that, you're not going to know from the front that I did do that. So you don't need that. I asked Michelle to cut pieces wide enough so we could literally fold it over, make a nice edge, cover it so it was completely covered. So in case you wanted to hang it where, you might see it from both sides, it wouldn't look bad, or it wouldn't scratch your wall up on one side. So think about what you want to do. Also think about how much of this hanger that you want to cover. With this one, I went just to the edge, right to the edge of the hanger. So I had all of this still left because I knew I wanted to just put the little snowflake right up on top of this. I didn't want, since I already had a snowflake on the fabric there, I wanted my snowflake to stand alone up there. So I started just right at the edge, but you can go all the way up. I did the same thing on this one. I have the thing glued there, and you can see with this one, I curved the hanger more to hold it on there. So you need to decide, do you want this part to show? It's nice that it's white so it matches the beard, so it doesn't really matter if this shows. It's all on what you physically feel you want to see. Because, and I say you need to know that because you need to know how far up you're going to put your material when we start to bend it over. The most important thing is you have to have your fabric going over the beard. You don't go right to the edge. I wouldn't want to put my fabric right close to this edge because I don't want those little knots showing. If I did that, I don't want these little bumps to show. I want it to go over. Plus, I want to be able to have enough material to bend over my nose. And you can see on this one, you give a little, I'll go up that way. So you bring your material up, you go over the nose, and you bring a little bit down. So when it's like that, it looks like it's pushed up because, these gnomes don't have eyes. They're cute because it pulls over their head. So you want a little bit of an edge to go over the nose. You don't want the circle right in the middle. You could make a brim if you want. You know, if you wanted to put your material, whatever side you want facing up. If you wanted to fold this a little bit, you can see, fold it a little bit up. I would probably do a double fold and a fold. And you want to give it a brim. And if I put my hanger underneath that now, I can see how much material I would have. So if I were to give myself a brim by folding it that much, I would not have enough to cover up here at the top. But that's not a problem because you're going to have a lot of excess material on the back. So if you like the idea of a brim to make it thick, you want to fold it and fold it so it stays thick like that. You could go ahead and do that and then hot glue. And then with part of what we cut off the back, you'll have some triangle pieces. You'll be able to put that up on top because you can always cover that part by putting your snowflake right up at the top as well. So you decide what you're going to do. I really kind of like this brim, so I am going to do that. So this is, I'm looking at my fabric, you know, with most of these materials, it's really cool. There's, you know, an obvious right side and a wrong side, but you may like what the wrong side looks like. I'm going to do the really bright side up front. So for my brim, I'm gonna fold it up, a little more than half an inch, about an inch. I'm gonna take my hot glue gun and I am gonna put a line of glue, glue it all the way down, and I am gonna fold this over again. So I'm just gonna tack that, basically tack it down. Putting my glue down. I always like to work also, I always get these Dollar Tree plastic tablecloths. They're great to work on because then you don't ruin your table. So I have my one, I am gonna fold it up again because I do really like that look. So I am gonna do another fold. So this way now I can just kind of, I have to push because I'm getting a new stick here. So I have to push my glue stick down so it catches. And I'm just gonna pour some of my glue all the way through. And then very carefully, I'm gonna fold that up and tack it down. So this looks like it's a stocking cap now with the folded brim. And that's the nice thing of working with hot glue, that it does dry very quickly. And if it's not holding, if you didn't get glue up high enough, go through and just see where you need to tack it. Tack it down a bit, take your time. This is a nice quick craft, we're halfway done. So you're just gonna kind of tack it all the way down. If you're doing the brim, if you're not, I hope you're bearing with us for just a second. And I think it's cute with a little bit of a brim here. Okay. Tack that under. All right, so now I have that ready to go. So you've got your hanger with your beard on. I have just made myself a little brim. I'm going to lay my beard down. I'm going to lay this down. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going over. I'd say probably about that much. So here's the top. I'm gonna just drape that over because I want enough space where I'm gonna be able to put this under like that. So you can see how it's just kind of peeking out. So I've got it down here. I'm gonna just flip it around. I'm gonna hold it, kind of gather it up and flip it over. Open it back up. So now I know exactly where it is. You can also lay it down, turn it upside down, because you've already looked to see where you want it to go. So you'll know that if you just then flip your material over, you know where you're going to want to put it. So you're going to want to go right in the middle. And again, you can see as I move these around, I've got my edge of my hat. And again, I'm not worrying that I'm not covering this top part yet. I'm not worrying about that. I'm going to push my yarn down, my strings, just so they're nice and tight, because they were wanting, for me, they were wanting to go up my gnome. So I just want to kind of bring them down as far as I can. And just so I don't have to worry about it flipping around so much, I have it where I want it. Now just kind of make sure you do. I have it where I want it. I'm going to put some glue right here on all of this part, right on one of the corners on the wire. And I'm going to fold part of my fabric over. Don't go, you want it to be kind of straight. You don't want to hug it up too much because you want it to look like a hat. So see how I'm making a straight, I'm not following the curve yet. I'm making it straight.
Kimberly?
Yes.
I can't see it. Your corner's out of the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So you can see.
So I don't know what you glued.
What I glued is I took the corner, this like little corner here. I made sure I pushed all my material down. And I'm just gonna glue so it's not pointing upwards yet. I want it to be a little straight. So I want to be able to just fold it over before I worry about having to cut it. So I have it where I've got enough of the spacing. I've got my yarn, my strings pushed down. So I'm just going to, right here on this corner, on the hat part, on the beard part, right up in the corner, a little bit where the wire is, just enough to give me a little bit of a tack. And then I'm just going to gently fold that over for however much I want left on the side. And I'm just going to push that down. So you can see none of this is glued yet, but it's just given me enough of a tack right there that if I can move this around, then I know where it is and it's not going to go anywhere on me. And then this is what the front looks like. It's not glued there yet, but you can see how I've got it. I'm covering my knots. I've got it straight on one edge, straight kind of on the other, because I just think that looks cute. It could be bent all the way over, but I just like a little bit of an edge. So I just put enough glue just to kind of tack it down. We're just going to, this is the part you have to really be careful with now, because it's easy to pull it. This is fantastic fabric, but it pulls really easy. Because like I lost like all my edge that I had. Because remember I said I want to cover all those knots and I want the nose to be able to go over. So I'm just going to push that up carefully straighten that out. For right now, I'm gonna just fold it over. You're gonna use the edge of your hanger to be your hat. Because remember, the back doesn't really matter how it looks. So because we're putting a square piece of paper on a triangular base, you're gonna have a lot of overlap. So the easiest way to do it is, again, making sure you're not pulling too much of the bottom off because you want that overlap for the nose. I'm going to go through it. I'm just going to go right next to the hanger, the edge of the hanger. On the inside edge, I am just going to put glue onto my fabric, onto my hanger, just kind of zigzag it around in there. And I'm going to very carefully just fold it over. Pulling it where I need to so I can find my edge. And you'll have a little bit of a gathering here at the edge. It'll be a little bumpy, but that's going to be in the back. You're not going to see that. So I am just attaching. So now I've got my nice straight edge there. And I'm going to fold that material back just to get it out of the way, because remember, I didn't go all the way up to the top, but I do want to cover some of my hanger up there. So I'm going to fold this part out just so I know that I've got enough of a triangle piece that I can cut away. So I'm going to do the same thing now on the other edge. I'm just going to go along the wire coat hanger and then kind of zigzag around it. So now I can get that part covered. That's why sweaters and fleece are really nice to use, because you don't see it much on the other side. A cotton, it might bleed through. So I'm not doing anything special. I'm just pulling that part over now. Gently tapping it over. And then kind of pushing around. So now if I were to lift mine up, you can see what it looks like from the front. Oh, that was almost perfect. I almost got that line right straight in the middle. Almost. So that will, I am very symmetrical, so that will probably drive me nuts when I look at this, because I'll think that needs to be over more. But if there's little bumps that you don't like, you know, you can pull it away a little bit. Like this really bumped on that side, so I just pulled it away a little bit. Now I can straighten it back out. Same thing here. I've got a bit of a bump. So I'm just going to pull that away. It's a nice thing with hot glue, you've got a little bit of wiggle room. So what I want to do now, before we completely finish the back, I want to flip it over just so I can look at it. And I want to set it aside for right now before I completely put it down. Because what I want to do is, let's do the nose now. We have it tacked down enough where it's going to stay. But now by doing that, now I can see the placement of where I want to put my nose. So I am going to cover my nose with my nylon stocking. Because it's the first one of the nylon that I'm doing, like if I'm making a whole bunch of these, obviously you're going to cut the nylon. But this is the very first one, so I can put it all the way down to the edge of the stocking. You don't want to pull it. You can see if I pull super hard, then you're almost going right back to the white ping pong ball, and you're defeating the purpose of having this, you know, the color of the nylon. So you want to pull it enough where it's not loosey-goosey, but also where you're not over pulling. My ping pong ball ends right there. I'm going to give myself probably a little bit of a 1/4 of an inch past where my ping pong ball. There's no exact science to that at all. You just want to cut it enough where you're not wasting a lot of your material, because now I've got all of this to use for something else. But you've got enough hanging where you can really have a chance to glue it. Because if you don't like that edge and you don't want to worry about it, this gives me enough wiggle room where I can kind of pull that towards the back now and pull that towards the front. And there is absolutely no rhyme or reason as to how to glue this on. You basically just want to fold it over and glue, because you're only going to see the front part of it. It does not matter how messy that back part looks. So I'm going to move my seam to the back a little bit. Smooth that out. I'm going to set it down because I don't want to try to do this up in the air, but I'm going to put it here so y'all can see. So I'm just going to hold it a bit there, and I'm going to put some glue, definitely getting my silica finger for that, folding some of that over. And folding it more. So caught most of it, but you can see, oh, didn't catch that part. That's okay. Put a little bit more glue. I'm gonna pull it up, fold it over. That's when, if you have a pencil or a popsicle stick, it's nice because you can just smooth it. You can see how I'm doing it like that. I'm just smoothing it down here across the back, gluing it on. And because I moved my seam, I've got some wiggle room with this too. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back of that. I'm going to pull my stocking up a bit and fold it over and smooth it down. So you're just basically catching it. So now I've got the two sides caught. I'm going to turn it to the side a bit. I'm going to get part of this top done. Like I said, this part is not pretty, but you are not going to see it. And just smooth that over a little bit. You know, using your whatever tool you're using, just use it to help smooth everything over. And there you have a cute nose. So you can see it's bumpy, it's wiggly. I don't really care though, because we're not going to see that part at all. We're only going to see a little bit of the nose, and all of this is going to have glue on it stuck down. So was that, hopefully that was clear. You're just really kind of moving and smooshing, technical term there, smooshing the glue. So it's pretty much over. So if it's too wrinkly and you don't like that, put a drop of glue. These glue sticks go fast. I'm gonna put another glue stick in. So put a drop of glue and just smooth it down so you can get those wrinkles out. Let your tools help you. Again, the chopstick or the pencil. So there you go. So now what I'm going to do is I pushed a little hard, so I got a little dimple in there because I pushed a little bit too hard, because these are Dollar Tree ping pong balls, are not that strong. So to solve that problem, that's going to be my top now, because now I've got a little, you can see the little dimple, the flat edge, but no one's going to see that because it's going to be up and underneath. So I want to come back to the front of my hat and see where I want to place my nose. You don't need it showing an awful lot. You want just kind of the hint of a nose. So you can see I'm just kind of tucking it there. It's going to arrow down. So that's why you don't want to glue the whole thing down, because you needed that wiggle room for that. So I'm going to put first a tiny little bit of glue on the top of my ping pong ball, just so I can place the top of my fabric where I want it. Then I don't have to worry about it sliding. So I've got it there. That's about how much I want to show. So now I'm going to lift it up and put a whole bunch of glue, and you're literally gluing it down to your strands. Your strands are going to hold it there. So you can see I've glued it to the strands. That's what's holding it there. It's glued right there up at the top. And now I'm going to glue a little bit on the side, just to kind of glue this down a bit now. I'm going to drape it, pull it down, just drape it in there a little bit just to cover it a bit. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on that edge. Bring my hat down a bit. As you can see, when it's hanging, you're not going to see it. But that will hold that right in there. So now I can go through and I can glue down the rest of this, because I have my hat the way hanging, the way I want it to hang. I'm not showing anything, you're not going to look at it from this angle, you're looking at it from up and down. So now I'm going to glue my hat down on the rest of those strands, just right on top of the hanger where you attached your strings. So now I have that attached down. It gave me a nice brim. It's covering. If for some reason, if you have a big wrinkle there or something that you really don't like, you can always bring up one of your strands and glue it closer to the nose to hide that. See how I could push some of those forward if I wanted to. I'm fine with it. But if you had like a little edge, that's fine. So now we're going to turn it over. And pick the glue off that's jumped onto your fingers. I knew I couldn't do this without getting a glue burn. So I want to cut, I'd say probably a good, kind of like a triangle, just so I can cover that top. So I'm going to cut of my excess fabric here. I'm not measuring, I'm not worrying about it because it's the back. I'm going to cut just myself a little, it's not even an even triangle. Just so once I get everything glued down, I can put this up here and glue it down. You're not gonna see that I did that because that's where I'm gonna put my snowflakes. You're not even gonna see it. So you don't have to worry about it. If you don't want to do that and you were fine and you're just gonna put your snowflake straight up at the top like that, that's fine too. You don't have to cover it. Or if yours covered all the way up at the top, just continue to glue it down. So now you're just gluing. You're just pulling your material over to glue it down. So I'm gonna just put some glue here. Fold that part over. So now you're just kind of smoothing and gluing. It's easier to glue the one side versus trying to glue both at the same time. So I'm just gonna bring that edge up, glue that down. So right now I'm just concentrating over here on my left side to bring the fabric down. If you want, you can trim it completely. You don't have to. I am going to cut off some of this excess because I have an awful lot of excess. And I'm one of those people that are like, oh, I can find something to do with that material. So I'm going to look to see where my edge is. I'm going to cut in. You can just fold the whole thing right over. You don't have to worry about trimming at all. I'm just going to save some of this material to use for something else, maybe make some mini gnomes. So because that's all going to come this way, I'm going to just cut this at an angle just so I don't have so much material hanging off. And like I said, these would be adorable for like little tiny mini gnomes. So now I'm just going to glue this side down. Folding it, smoothing it. Again, it's your back, so you really don't have to worry too much about it. I'm kind of pulling and smoothing. I mean, and you can be really careful if you want to go through and, really fold all this down. Like when we're finished, I'll probably go through and just smooth that edge out a little bit, make it a little tighter. But for sake of time, I'm just going to leave that over like that. I've got a really big bump here too, because I have the edge of material. It had the sewn seam, so I'm just going to cut that part off because that was being really bumpy for me. So just scissors, glue it down. So there you can see now I've got my hat. We didn't have to fill it. It just covers itself completely. And I'm going to show you if you did not like the little edge that you had here. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to cover that. This actually has that edging too. That's a very thick edge, so I'm going to cut that right off just for my fabric because that's going to be too thick to use. So I'm gonna cut that off. So I want to look at this here, and I'm going to look at the front, and as I said, I cut it like a triangle. So I'm just going to put this up here. I'm going to probably put a lot of the triangle right up on top. I'm going to lift this up a bit and just glue that on the front. Just so it will hold. Now I can flip that over. As you can see, I can flip that right over. I know where I need it to be. Now I can do the same thing. I can just put my glue right over the top of this. Fold it in. Smoosh it down. Fold this side over. Put some glue there. Not being precise at all because this is the back and I'm not going to see the back. I'm going to hang mine. So now you can see I've just covered that. I've just gone up a little bit higher. I've covered the top. It doesn't matter to me that the pattern is going in a different direction because I personally am going to put my snowflake. I like it. I like it up at the top. You decide where you want it. You can have your snowflake on the side, sticking off more of the edge, right in the middle, completely in the middle, off to the side, up at the top. It's whatever you want to do. Like I said, I'm going to put mine up at the top. Decide how you want it to go. Mine, it has 2 points and a little one in the middle. I like the little one in the middle, so I'm going to make sure that that's my top. So do that. Just put a little bit of hot glue around. Be very careful when you're hot gluing on this because there's a lot of open edges. And that will hurt. Kind of put it up close to the top there. I like it so it's hanging off. And then, like I said, if you want to go through, once you've got it glued down, if you want to, with these really cute rhinestones, if you want to take off some pieces and put them on there to really decorate that, you can decorate anywhere on your fabric there. So that's how easy that is. Like I said, you could do this for any holiday because gnomes are for any time. You know, spring fabric, any kind of different materials that you have. Bed sheets will work. Old blankets will work if you have them. Again, sweaters, shirts, anything like that. So any kind of material that you want to reuse, it's a great way to use it. And then with whatever theme that you want, we got these at the Dollar Tree. So, you know, pick a theme. If you want it spring, you put a flower or a piece of burlap or make a book flower. Any bows that you have left over from holiday time, you know, anything that you want to put as a decoration, or don't put anything at all, just have the hat. It's cute enough without. So that's it, my friends. That's how quick and easy this comes together. You know, the sky is the limit with the amount of material that you want to use. And just really, really cute. You know, you put rhinestones in a circle, give him a little wart on his nose. That would be cute. But pretty much anything that you want to do, you can do. So it was just that easy.